My name is Eleanor Hayes. If you asked anyone who knew me, they would have told you I had the perfect life, a successful husband, a beautiful suburban home, elegant dinner parties, vacations in Europe, and a marriage that looked flawless from the outside. But perfection is often just well-decorated silence. My husband, Richard, was admired everywhere. Charming, witty, confident, the kind of man people listened to when he spoke, and I was the woman smiling beside him. What no one saw was how his humor always had a target, me. At first, it was small jokes. Ellie would burn water if she could. Don't trust her with directions. We'd end up in another state. People laughed. I laughed too, because that's what wives do, right? They laugh. They adjust. They excuse. I told myself, he doesn't mean it. I told myself, it's harmless. But jokes repeated often enough stop being jokes. They become disrespect dressed as entertainment. The night everything changed started like any other high society dinner we hosted. Crystal glasses polished. Candles lit. A 3-course gourmet meal I'd spent 2 days preparing. Richard's business partners and their wives filled our dining room with expensive perfume and louder laughter. Compliments poured in. Eleanor, this house is stunning. You've outdone yourself. This smells incredible. I thanked them, smiling gracefully, the perfect host. Then Richard stood, raising his wine glass for a toast. My wife worked very hard on tonight's dinner, he began. I felt a small warmth of pride. Then he smirked. Because unfortunately, cooking is the only thing she's remotely good at. The table erupted in laughter. My smile froze. He continued. Honestly, if she didn't marry me, she'd probably be handing out free samples at grocery stores. More laughter. I felt my fingers tighten around my napkin. In that moment, something inside me cracked. Not loudly, not dramatically, but permanently. I realized I wasn't his partner. I was his punchline. And for the first time in 10 years of marriage, I stopped laughing. Dinner went on, but Richard didn't stop. He never did once he had an audience. Marriage is a sacrifice, he joked to his colleagues. You trade freedom for scheduled conversations about throw pillows. Laughter again. He gestured toward me. Eleanor here tracks my schedule better than my assistant. If I'm 5 minutes late, I get a full interrogation. I hadn't done that in years. But truth never mattered when humiliation got laughs. One of the guests' wives leaned toward me and whispered, "You're very patient." I smiled politely. Inside, I was somewhere else entirely. Watching, measuring, deciding. When I brought out the main course, Richard added loudly, "Let's hope this tastes better than the last experiment." We ordered pizza after that one. The guests chuckled. I hadn't cooked anything poorly in years. But accuracy wasn't the point. Dominance was. Then came dessert, my signature caramel souffle. As I placed the plates down, Richard tapped his spoon against his glass. "One more thing," he said. "If this dessert works out, maybe I'll let Eleanor host again." Let her. As if this home wasn't half mine. As if this life wasn't built on my labor too. I walked back into the kitchen, closed the door, looked at my reflection in the stainless steel oven. My eyes weren't tearful. They were calm. Because this moment, this exact humiliation, wasn't spontaneous. It was anticipated. For months, I'd been preparing quietly, planning financially, consulting legally, strengthening emotionally. I opened the drawer beside the fridge. Inside was a sealed envelope. I picked it up, walked back into the dining room, placed the final dessert in front of Richard, and slid the envelope beside his plate. He frowned. "What's this?" I met his eyes steadily, a sweeter surprise than the souffle. Richard opened the envelope, casually. Then his expression collapsed. "What the hell is this?" His voice had lost its performance tone. "Divorce papers," he said, louder now. The table went silent. Forks paused midair. I took my seat calmly. Yes. A guest laughed nervously. Is this some kind of anniversary prank? I shook my head. No, the prank was our marriage. This is the conclusion. Richard's face reddened. Eleanor, stop this nonsense. I folded my napkin neatly. 10 years of public humiliation isn't nonsense. It's documentation. He lowered his voice. You're overreacting. I leaned slightly forward. You turned me into entertainment in front of your colleagues. I'm simply returning the favor, with paperwork instead of punchlines. One by one, guests began excusing themselves. Coats were collected quickly. No one wanted to sit inside a collapsing illusion. Soon, the dining room was empty except for us. Richard threw the papers onto the table. You're not leaving. I stood. I already did. Emotionally months ago. Tonight was just the announcement. You'll regret this, he snapped. I picked up my purse. No, I regret staying silent this long. As I walked toward the door, he called after me. You can't survive without me. I paused, but didn't turn around. Watch me. Divorce wasn't easy. Richard delayed proceedings, questioned assets, tried intimidation, then charm, then guilt. But humiliation has a strange side effect. It burns fear out of you. I used my settlement wisely. I turned my passion for cooking into a luxury private dining business. Small at first, then exclusive, then in demand. Within a year, Chef Eleanor Hayes was hosting high-end corporate events and elite social gatherings. Ironically, the same circles Richard once paraded me through. One evening, I arrived at a 5-star venue to cater a corporate gala. As I reviewed the guest list, I saw his name, Richard Hayes. Fate has a sharp sense of humor. The event began flawlessly. Applause followed the dinner reveal. The host took the stage. Tonight's extraordinary dining experience was curated by one of the most sought-after private chefs in the city, Eleanor Hayes. Spotlights turned toward me. Applause filled the hall. And there he was, standing near the back, silent, stunned, watching the woman he once mocked being celebrated by the very audience he used to impress. I walked past his table during dessert service, paused just long enough to speak, quietly. I hope you enjoy the dessert. He didn't respond. He couldn't, because for the first time, he wasn't the one holding the spotlight. I was. Humiliation disguised as humor is still disrespect. Never stay where your dignity is the price of companionship. The most powerful revenge isn't loud, cruel, or destructive. It's growth. Rise so high that those who belittled you are left applauding from below.